Collyhurst, Manchester. On the 25th of January 2010, construction workers were preparing land for the cooperative's new £100 million headquarters. Sometime during the day, a worker had spotted a skull whilst removing earth from the site. Police were informed and an excavation was performed to recover the rest of the body. The area is known as the Angel Meadows. During the Victorian era, bodies were buried at the site, and police originally believed this to be another body from that period. It soon became clear that this was not the case due to the nature of how her body was disposed of. When the details of her death was made public, she was gracefully named the Angel of the Meadows. She was found naked from the waist down, with some of her clothing found nearby. And her body was wrapped in 3 different pieces of carpet. The unknown female is described as 18 to 30 years old. She was 155 centimeters to 170 centimeters, which is 5 feet 1 inches to 5 feet 6 inches tall. Her ethnicity is currently unknown, but police believe she may be white European, but she could also be from the Middle East. Let's take a look at some of the evidence found so far. A 1970s-style pinafore dress was found near the body. DNA tests proved this item belonged to the victim. The pinafore dress had a Great Gatsby-type design repeated across the dress. The design shows a lady dressed in fur, drinking a martini with olives, whilst a smoking man in a top hat admires her style. The dress was a green color, but it is unsure who manufactured the dress. A single black shoe was recovered from the site and has been confirmed as the victim's. The size of shoe has not been released. The shoe is believed to be manufactured by a company called Natural Design. The company was located at Riverside Works in Crawshay-Warburth, Manchester. Police continue to appeal for anyone who worked at the company during the mid to late 80s. The shoe has been described as a stiletto-type shoe, but I feel it looks more like a court shoe. A black handbag was discovered near the body, and again, tests proved this belonged to the victim. No further description is given of the bag except that it was empty. The victim had extensive dental work, including a number of fillings. Her upper right premolar was also missing. Police believe this would have been a distinguishing feature for the victim, as they believe it was removed professionally prior to her attack. A blue-colored jumper was found on the victim, although some reports state this was a jacket. The victim was wrapped in 3 pieces of carpet, and photos of these were later released via the media. A piece of light blue carpet. A long narrow piece of orange patterned carpet. There was a dark blue carpet, which police believed was cut to fit a Ford Cortina. Production for the Ford Cortina ended in 1982, but it was still Ford's second best-selling car and was the most popular family car of the decade. The Manchester Evening News reported that there was a Guinness sign found near the body, but this detail remains missing from the Missing Persons Unit website.
Post-mortem results show she had a broken collarbone,
a fractured jaw, and 2 broken bones in her neck. Police believe her injuries resulted in her death and are treating this case as a murder. Her body was found naked from the waist down, and due to this, police believe she may have been sexually assaulted, but due to the decomposition of the body, this has not been confirmed. Carbon testing was done on the victim's teeth, and it is believed she may have been born between 1950 to 1954. This means she would have been around 64 to 68 years old this year. Scientists at the University of Dundee used the latest facial reconstruction methods. They first used clay to reconstruct the victim's face, which was later featured in an episode of Crime Watch in 2001. Crime Watch is a British television show that has helped solve hundreds of unsolved crimes. The series broadcasted from 1984 to 2017. Later on, a digital facial reconstruction was produced and released via the media. Police believe she may have been killed between 1975 and 1988. Many theories have been brought up, but no solid leads have come to light. Sadly, there were many notable serial killers active in the UK during the 1970s to 1980s. Peter Tobin was one such killer. It has been theorized that he may have been responsible for the angel's death, but this has never been confirmed nor ruled out. He has been convicted of numerous murders and sex crimes and later died at HMP Edinburgh. Police believe he may be responsible for more murders, and it has been rumored he has confessed to around 48 different murders in the UK. He had around 40 aliases including Peter Wilson, James Kelly, Paul Semple, John Tobin, Peter Proban and Pat McLaughlin. He would use these aliases all over the UK posing as a handyman. He would prey on young women and teenage girls. Peter Sutcliffe, also known as the Yorkshire Ripper, was also another candidate, but again this was never ruled out. Peter Sutcliffe was active between 1975 and 1980. Most of the murders took place in Yorkshire, but 2 of the murders were in Manchester, hence why he was named as a suitable candidate for the angel's murder. He would kill his victims by hitting them over the head with objects and at times would mutilate victims with a knife. He was convicted of murdering 13 women and for the attempted murder of 7 other women and was sentenced to 20 consecutive life sentences. He died on the 13th of November 2020 in hospital whilst in police custody. Another theory is that she may have been Tanzanian, due to the area having homed many World War II refugees and immigrants. It is theorized her family may have moved back to their home country, but this lead has never brought any further insight to the identity of the Angel of the Meadows. In 2020, a fresh lead was brought into the limelight when a man named Alec Whittle came forward to the police. He says that during the early 1970s he had just left the army. He says he went to a pub in Longsight, Manchester for a pint. He believes this was in either 1972 or 1973. According to Alec, he was alone in the empty bar and started chatting to the barmaid. He gave an interview to Manchester Evening News stating, "She showed me all these injuries down her face and shoulder. She said she had no relatives here. I wanted to help her. I wanted to take her home to my parents' house, but she refused and said she couldn't." He said he saw a man walk into the bar, which caused the barmaid to become visibly frightened. He said she told him to be quiet and sit down. He said he also remembers the dress being hung up at the bar because it had a Great Gatsby type design and that he used to doodle the design. He also is quoted as saying, "I'm sure it was hung up near the bar in the club, or in a glass frame. She wasn't wearing the dress, it was hung up." Did you work or live in Manchester in the 1970s, especially if you lived or worked around Longsight? Did you work in the Natural Style shoe factory in Manchester during this time? And did you frequent any bars in the local area? If so, you could have pivotal information in solving this case. If this sounds like something you did during the 1970s and 1980s, please contact the Missing Persons Unit or the Manchester Police quoting case number 10-0000491.